All right, let's jump right in. Today, we're digging into a concept that's as old as humanity itself, but something we still wrestle with every single day. We're going to look at what some of the world's greatest thinkers have to say about one simple but incredibly powerful idea: how to actually love one another and find a real pathway to peace.
Okay, so this one sentence, it's really the heart of everything we're talking about today. It's not just a nice thought, it's framed as a core directive. The words are simple, sure, but the material we're looking at really unpacks just how deep and, honestly, how difficult this call to action is.
And that's the million-dollar question, isn't it? I mean, it's one thing to talk about love as this big abstract idea, but what does it actually look like in the real world? When you're dealing with difficult people, or navigating family drama, or even facing huge global conflicts? Well, the material we're exploring breaks this whole thing down into three clear, actionable paths.
So, where do you even begin with something so big? Well, what's so interesting is that the journey doesn't actually start with other people. Nope, it starts right here, inside each of us. This is what we're calling the path within. It's the essential internal work we've got to do before we can even begin to effectively love anyone else. Here's the first big idea, and it's a total game changer. Thinkers like the Buddhist master Thich Nhat Hanh call it radical compassion. And that word radical is super important. This isn't just a passive, oh, I feel bad for you kind of sympathy. It's an active, powerful force that completely changes how we see the world.
This really breaks it down, right? On one side, you've got gentle compassion. It's kind of safe, it's distant. It's like sending thoughts and prayers from a comfortable distance. But on the other side, you've got what people like Mother Teresa and the activist Brian Stevenson actually practice: radical compassion. This is about choosing to get your hands dirty, to actually move toward the pain instead of running away from it. It's a conscious and, let's be honest, often really difficult choice. You know, researcher Brené Brown, she spent her whole career on this stuff, and she boils it all down to one key thing: vulnerability. Radical compassion means you have to be willing to get uncomfortable. You have to put down your own defenses and actually feel with someone, not just watch their pain from a safe distance. Okay, but you might be thinking, isn't this just a recipe for burnout? I mean, it sounds exhausting. But here's the crazy part, the big paradox. As the Holocaust survivor Viktor Frankl wrote, suffering is just unbearable when it's meaningless. But when you endure that suffering for the sake of love, it completely transforms. It becomes meaningful. So the big takeaway here is that sacrifice, when it's made out of love, isn't draining. It's actually what fuels us. Okay, so if that's all the internal work, how does it actually show up in our interactions with other people? Well, that brings us to our second path, the path between us. This is all about our relationships. So where do we learn how to love? According to the thinkers we're looking at, our main training ground isn't some university or fancy workshop. It's the family. For better or for worse, that's our first classroom. It's where we learn all the messy, beautiful, and absolutely essential skills of human connection. But let's be real, that school can be pretty tough, right? Relationship experts like John Gottman say that contempt, that horrible mix of disgust and feeling superior, is the #1 killer of relationships. But it's also the quieter things, isn't it? The tough conversations we're too afraid to have, the family dinners we decide to skip, the simple thank you we forget to say. These little things can end up creating huge cracks in the very foundation of love. And here's the thing, the skills we learn or, don't learn in our families, those are the exact same skills we need on a much bigger scale. The real challenge is to take those lessons and use them to build bridges, especially with people who are really different from us. So how do you even do that? How do you connect with someone from a completely different background without demanding they change who they are? The Dalai Lama gives us this beautiful, simple test. Does your belief system make you more compassionate? If the answer is yes, then guess what? You've found common ground. Compassion becomes this universal language that cuts across any single religion or culture. And Pope Francis adds another key ingredient to the mix: humility. He argues that real unity, real connection, isn't about winning a debate or proving you're right. It's about having the humility to just walk alongside someone else, to be willing to learn from them, and to accept that your point of view isn't the only one that matters. All right, we've gone from the self to our relationships, and now it's time to zoom all the way out to the biggest picture of all. This is the third path, the path for the world. How can this personal, internal idea of love actually start to change the very systems we all live in? And this is usually where people go, whoa, hold on a minute, right? It's one thing to talk about love in your family, but can it really stand up to the massive, complex problems of our world? Things like poverty, climate change, or war. Let's see what the sources have to say. Let's talk about the economy, for example. On one side, you've got what you could call an economy of greed. It's all about taking as much as you can, hoarding it, and defining success by one single number, GDP. But thinkers like economist Thomas Piketty are pointing towards an economy of fairness. That's a vision that's all about protecting what we all share, rewarding collaboration, and measuring success by the actual well-being of people and communities. Or take the environment. The Nobel Peace Prize winner Wangari Maathai had such a beautiful way of looking at this. For her, planting trees wasn't just some ecological project. She saw it as a profound act of love, not for us today, but for the children of tomorrow. It's all about taking responsibility for a future we might not even live to see. And then there's war. Conflict. I mean, just look at Nelson Mandela. After spending decades in prison, he absolutely could have chosen revenge. But instead, he taught the entire world that real peace isn't just about when the fighting stops. It's about the much, much harder work that comes after, transforming someone who was your enemy into a partner and building a new future together. Okay, wow. We've talked about some massive ideas, from our own inner compassion all the way to global economics. But the source material doesn't just leave us there. It brings it all back home to one simple question. What do we do tomorrow? This is where it gets really practical. This is your daily practice.
And you know what? The answers are so much simpler than you might think. This isn't about some grand, heroic gesture. It's about small, everyday acts. I mean, just look at these 5 examples. Make eye contact with someone. It's such a simple way of just saying, I see you. Listen before you jump in to speak. Share food with someone, an act that has built communities since the dawn of time. Plant something and give something away. Not just money, but your time, your attention. And this all circles back to this incredible paradox that kept showing up in all the source material. It seems that the only way to truly find your life is to lose it in the service of others. It's all about letting go of that ego-driven need to protect yourself. And in that very act of giving, you end up discovering a life of real, profound meaning. So, in the end, this isn't a question for the experts anymore. It's a question for every single one of us. The path to a more loving world isn't about one person doing something huge and dramatic. It's about millions and millions of us, each taking one small, intentional step. The only question left is, what will yours be?